All right, we're back, and we had a huge win against Southmore at Southmore.
It's true.
And I enjoyed being out there, that brand new stadium.
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice.
But
nice facilities.
It makes me appreciate our facilities.
Yeah, I really like Bill Jensen Stadium. I think it's really cool. I just love the topography of it. I love how it's kind of built into a hill.
Yeah,
I think like that stuff's tough to replicate. And brand new stadium's really, really, really cool and very nice. But I kind of like the nostalgia of Bill Jensen, and all the upgrades that we have. I think it's a really cool setting.
Yeah. So it was kind of a one-sided game, and that happens. But we mentioned several times on the broadcast. The quarterback's a sophomore, and there's a lot they're building.
Yeah.
It's a program. I think 6A2 is going to be great for their program, and so. But the nice thing about on my side, I got to see a lot of dudes play. Like a lot of dudes make some great plays,
right.
And so I want to go right into that and kind of talk about some of the guys that you got out there, and some of them got the ball that normally play defense. There was a lot of different things that you did. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about specifically offense, Coach Garfield, offense coordinator, and the offensive staff have done a fantastic job. Average over 500 yards of offense a game, and nearly 50 points. For the I think almost 6 consecutive year. That's pretty tough to do, to have that level of consistency. Kids come and go, but the offense continues to put up points, which is really cool. So it's nice to see that. Nice to see those guys being able to score. I thought we were very efficient on offense. Could name 1,000 guys that stood out. I thought a lot of guys had some really good games, but you kind of saw the reemergence of Juju again. Had a breakout game. And then, kind of newcomer on the scene that just continues to get better and better is Titus Hawk. And so we had offensive player of the week, Titus and Juju, both, monster games. O-line again, just, went lights out. Cash did such a great job, managing the offense, timely balls, being able to make plays with his feet, all those kind of things, just doing a fantastic job. Hayden Mounts and Nathan Kiefer on the perimeter doing a great job as well. And obviously Mayer punching a couple in, as well. So all-around team effort. Guys did a really, really good job, but those were our players of the game.
Okay. My offensive player of the game was just offense because, I mean, and I hate to say it, but okay, Cash did well.
Yep, he did.
You had Kiefer and Mounts on the outside, did well.
He did such a good job.
Juju and Mayer did well. Titus did well. And then you had some other guys get in there and did some things. And so a little bit cheesy on that, but I felt like
offensive player of the game, offense.
Well, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
There's some years it's like, okay, these 3 guys are going to be the offense every single week.
Yeah.
But that's not true with this offense. We have the offense is involved in the offense every single time.
Internally, it's we call it pick your poison. And basically like which, where do you want to get beat? And all 5 skill guys plus the Q, can all score. And so it's always nice when you have that, and that's how we always try to build the offense, where it's not just a one-man show. And not be one-dimensional. And so, really proud of our guys. They did a fantastic job. Coaches did a great job. And kids went out and made plays. So, very, very proud of them.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the defense.
Yeah, defense. Defense, you're starting to see that Havoc D kind of come around. Some guys that are maybe young and experienced are starting to, kind of get it and just get more and more reps, become more confident. You see guys flying around, having fun, celebrating with their teammates, all that kind of stuff. And, just giving that high effort, which is what makes a defense go. If you get lined up right, do it with high effort, really, really good things can happen. So super proud of our guys. A lot of guys made a lot of plays. But, every week told you we do it, strictly by a production chart. And so, like, our production leaders for the game versus Southmore were sophomore Jace Watson on the defensive line. And then, we just continue to, make a lot of tackles for loss, all those kind of things, doing a great job. And then senior Jamari White with the big interception, and a lot of PBUs and tackles and solos and all that kind of stuff. And so we went Jace Watson, Jamari White, both those guys doing a fantastic job. Jace, just a sophomore, and starting to figure it out. Each and every week you see him just getting better and better and better, and it's fun to watch him.
Yeah, and we said a bunch of names of defense. I'm not going to be as cheesy on defense because I have one play that just did it for me, and that was one of Watson's plays.
Yeah.
He just absolutely and legally, which is hard to do, planted the quarterback. Just installed him into the ground, just absolutely swallowed him up. And I'm like, it's so hard to do that and not get a flag, but he did it well, and he made sure that ball was not it was just a beautiful. I got so excited about seeing that, and so I like to see that because you see that what I call the rage of the defensive line, where you get free and you just want to,
Right.
but then keeping your head so you keep it and don't
Yep.
get a 15-yarder. You don't touch the face
And
mask.
he did a
you
nice
do all that
job a
stuff.
lot of times now, and that's tough as a kid, It's
Yeah.
especially being a 14, 15-year-old kid. You finally, like you're saying, got a chance to make a big play, and to stop on the whistle and have that discipline. Our kids do a great job of that. In defensive line, a lot of times you'll see 3 sophomores out there. Depending on our
Right.
rotation, so like that's encouraging as well to see a bunch of young guys out there making plays.
So good stuff, and of course, Rocco was flying around again.
Always, yeah. Rocco,
and-
always super high energy.
Yeah, and so there's some really good plays. Played well, of course. On our brain after you did actually do a good job, not just scoring, because I think you could have scored at will.
I appreciate that. Some teams around the state, are scoring in the 80s, and
Yeah.
that's again that's them. But we try to let as many guys play as we can, and go get the job done, move on.
Yeah, and of course we remind people, but I'll say it again: you can only take 15 points with you.
Right.
So if you score 80-0, you only get 15 points for towards the tiebreaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I'm not really worried about the tiebreaker this year. We'll get into that. I want to go to special teams. I saw some good special teams plays, and sometimes we leave that out. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we had Co on that as well. Mikey Sims, big punt returns, senior, just one of the best kids you'll ever meet in your life. Just does everything that you ask of him. Plays running back, receiver, returns kicks, corners, special teams, just does everything. Just did such a great job. Nice to see him being able to almost return one all the way, and just did a really good job. And then also with on kickoff, if you notice, you probably called the name a lot of times, Landon Dockery, another sophomore on kickoff. They get 5 tackles on kickoff alone.
Yeah.
So that's almost double digits just on kickoff. Just did a really good job getting down there and making plays on kickoff. And so did a fantastic job. So those were our co-special teams.
Okay. Yeah, that's great, and I like to see. I also like to see when you get like Mikey Sims in there. We made a comment. It's not how many minutes you play; it's how you play your minutes.
And he lives by that. He does a really good job.
There's a couple times he wanted that ball.
Yeah, we saw it.
And again, if that's your moment, you want that ball, but he backed off and let it.
He was feeling the flow after the first one. I think he was going to field everything and try to take it back.
And so I got to give credit to being that team player there, and okay, I'll wait for mine. I'm gonna let this be a dead ball, and he did well. But so really appreciate that. We need to switch. This is a huge game of the week.
Scout team real quick. Nate Jones,
Yes.
Rhett Perkins, shout out. Great job. Both those guys, fantastic job and on scout team all week. And sophomore Nate Jones, senior Rhett Perkins does a really good job. Internally, Rhett will play some scout team quarterback. He's known as Rhett Favre.
Okay, I like that. That's good. That's good. Now he doesn't break hands, does he?
Maybe he throws pretty well. So
Okay.
maybe. So we have Rhett Favre and Connor Goins, another senior, does a really good job and just plays a lot of special teams for us and does a lot of really good things. And he plays quarterback sometimes, and so that's Con Brady for Connor Goins, and then Rhett Favre are sometimes Con Brady.
I love it. And actually, that's exactly where it was going.
They love it. They do a really good job. So now we can switch over to Stillwater.
Well, that's where I was going. That group is almost the most important part of preparing for Stillwater.
You can't do it without them. I mean, you can't in a lot of, I think people do understand that, but if you don't, if you do not have a great group replicating, the opponent's offense or your opponent's defense, it is literally then impossible to prepare for them because then your only reps that you get are live, and so you really at that point have almost no practice, and so practice players are so important, and to the success of a team. And I told you this thing a few weeks back on the show, but we asked, I said, raise your hand if you currently start, but you got Scout Team Player of the Week at one point. And it was literally it was 21 out of 22 starters had at one point in their life gotten Scout Team Player of the Week. That's pretty cool. That's pretty indicative of hey, these guys are going to be future stars as they continue to go. Because we always say you make plays on scout team, then you go make plays on Mondays, you make plays on Mondays, you make plays on special teams on Fridays, and you make plays on special teams on Fridays. You start making plays as a starter on Friday, and that's normally kind of the progression. I always say it doesn't have to follow that progression, but it generally does. 19 years experience, that's generally what happens.
Well, and what you might not bring up, but I'm sure you brought up before, is when you play scout team, you're learning.
Right. I mean, you're getting to go against, so like it's not,
Yeah.
when you finally get out there, it's not like, hey, what's it going to be like when I get to go against a 6A offense or 6A defense? Like, you've done it every day. Like you've had a million reps of it. And so when you get out there, it's kind of like, okay, let me just do what I do in practice, because I go against this caliber of team all the time anyways.
Right.
And so, it helps make you better. And so our kids take it very seriously. Like, our coaches pick our scout teams on the weekend. So like we make our
Right.
scout teams, and like that's a real, like, we're like, which one of our players, most closely, resembles this player for them.
Right.
Then we'll watch film with them and teach them the technique of this guy and the plays and how they run them and block them and all those kind of things, and put a lot of time into it. And then that kid goes and replicates that. And our kids do such a good job of that. I mean, a lot of times you're kind of like, some weeks it's our scout team may have done it better.
Right.
than what we saw on Friday. So they do a really, really good job.
Okay, so that's great. And so they're preparing for Stillwater. We got this short week, and so they're even more important
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
every rep counts.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about this short week. What do you do? Do you do anything different on a short week?
I mean, we practice a little bit longer than typical, because of just, how compounded everything is, going into a week. So obviously, like obviously you lose a practice day, so like everything, you have to condense everything. And so just depending on the week and the opponent, but, this week we've gone longer, we've had more meeting time, we've done all that stuff. Cause again, we're trying to make sure that we're prepared to put our best foot forward, to be able to play a really tough opponent. We're very familiar with them. They're very familiar with us. There's not a whole lot of secrets, I don't think, between both programs. Obviously met in 22 in the state championship, and beat us in the semis last year. In a tight game. And so that's obviously fresh in everybody's mind and our memories and all those kind of things. And, and it's like, you kind of like, okay, it's not like the two programs don't know each other.
Right. And so how much film study do you do for a team like this?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, you're talking, not be something, semifinal game, all that. I mean, we're normally 40 hours plus,
Okay.
of film. In a week, you don't see your family very much and all that kind of stuff. But and again, you have to make sure that you're airtight on every single thing, every wrinkle they may have, everything that they do personnel wise, what's their mindset, all these kind of things that go into a game like that, because I feel like it's always, my job as a coach is to not let your players down,
Right,
so you're always
right.
trying to make sure that like you've crossed every T, dotted every I that you possibly can, because I got kids depending on me and I know they don't want to let me down and I don't want to let them down. And so we're always making sure that we, do our job to put our best foot forward. But at the end of the day, it's always like, what wins is a simple game plan executed very quickly. And if you can do that and confidently, you have a chance to be successful. And so, you try to do that as well, where it's kind of like, okay, let me take all this information, let me just whittle this down to, as straightforward and as factual as I can to be able to present it, to teach it to kids where they can go now take that and go and play fast and confident, and then that's what wins. And so at the end of the day, it's like they say, it is that simple as, blocking and tackling, but there's obviously a lot more to it as far as like teaching the nuances of each team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. One of my coaching quotes is players win championships, coaches lose championships.
Okay.
And so a lot of times is if you put your players in a place to win,
Yeah.
you don't always win. But
Right.
you have a good opportunity. But if you don't put your players to win, you're not going to win.
Right, and again, that's what makes coaching fun. That's what makes playing football fun, any team sport. But I think maybe football even more so than others.
Yeah.
Is the fact that like the kids have to put the ownership on themselves.
Yeah.
And the coaches have to put the ownership on themselves.
Right.
And so it's if those things are together, then really, really good things happen. But like I cite, Jim Harbaugh, like, a year ago or whatever with Michigan, he's 1-7 or whatever in bowl
Right,
games.
right.
And I think his first win was his first year. So he's 0-6 the past 6
Right,
years,
right,
then he
right.
wins a national title. Well, did he become a better coach?
No.
Probably have better players, right? But then I'll also say that, like, is that his role? Yeah, absolutely it is. So, like, and what I love about our team and our players is, like, coaches don't want to let the players down, players don't want to let the coaches down.
Right.
It's never like, hey, well, coach should have called this, and coaches are never like, well, I wish I had a better kid. It's like, you have to make sure that, like, everybody's, doing their part to be successful. And that's what's exciting about it, and that's what makes coaching football really, really fun.
Yeah. And it's not just 11 people on the field actively working. You
Man,
got-
well, as you mentioned, again, without belaboring the point, but it's like all the scout team guys that got them ready,
Yeah.
right? Special teams, all the different things, like, the assistant coaches, the coordinators, the head coach, the training staff, with Josh Wilson, who does, like, the best job in the world of, like, getting our kids, healed up and ready, and, and from the strength, it's just so many things go into it to be able to be successful. It's really cool.
Well, and you have a million coaches, and people are like, why do football have a million coaches? Well, on any given play, you got the linebacker coach watch the linebackers, you got the
Right.
line coach watch the line. you got the defensive backs, the safeties, the cornerbacks, and then they come over on the sidelines. Okay, what went wrong? And you can coach these little individual things. Okay, this is what's going to help you, because like when you're in the game, sometimes you're like, I'm getting beat. I don't know what. And the coach can help you figure that out and adjust and go back in.
You know, when Tom Brady has a coach. You know, it's like that.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know. You know, he's mid-40s and still has a personal coach. You know, it's like everyone's better with a coach looking out for their interest. Everybody is. You know, and so you always have to have. You're always trying to strive to get better, and it's always like nice to have an extra set of eyes to like help you get there.
So I'm sure the coaches, because of this, it's such a big game, are also excited. It's a big, huge environment. It's going to be a great environment live. We do have just to play the game, because again, this is not a secret. This is not like when we went up to Kansas, going like we kind of know what they're doing, but this is going to be a new experience. This is your guys' experience, and it's been your guys' experience for year after year after year. You tweak your stuff, they tweak their stuff. Everything evolves. That's the fun thing about football. It evolves, and you're always trying to be one up somebody, and then your players. It's new to them, especially your sophomores, and so it's up to that leadership to help those players just kind of be able to play. So I'm talking about a lot of that just to kind of set up this. That this is an opportunity to truly test against a 6A2 opponent.
Right.
And again, that we're predicted we're either going to win this side or they're going to win this side. So it all comes down to this game. But of course, it doesn't all come down to this game.
No, I mean, there's still a lot of season left regardless, right? But I always tell our kids, like, let's go 1-0.
Yeah.
Let's go 1-0 this week. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And give them the opportunity. Let's go beat them. And again, it's not, you don't want to beat them because it's Stillwater. You don't want to beat them for a district title. You want to beat them because it's the next team. It's the next team on the schedule. And so, we want to make sure that we're continually getting better as we talk about each week. I feel like we progressively have, and like we want to put our best foot forward and go play lights out and, play with reckless abandon and, play gold standard football like we have been.
Yeah. And you got a JV game coming up Monday, right?
JV Monday, always, yeah. So JV's doing really, really well. JV has lost one game in 3 years. So that's pretty good. So they, continue to roll. Rolled, this last week against Southmore, and hopefully we'll continue.
I'll just bring that up because for you guys, fall break is just it's
just like any other
week.
Yeah, you're on work, so it's no big deal.
And so a lot of exciting things going as this program builds and builds closer and closer to the time that we decide who's going to be what seed in the playoffs. But really, it's time to play this football game. And so anything else you got to say?
Let's do it.
All right. Stay golden.